welcome to the firm. On the show this week, how United Spirits lost half its net worth. And who is an officer? Has SEBI expanded the definition to include all of us? Our top story this week, India's largest booze company, United Spirits, wrote off assets worth 4,359 crore rupees, thereby eroding its net worth by half. USL will now have to file with the BIFR as a sick company. While that may be a technical filing, the nature and extent of write-offs are grave and suggest that there is more to come. Sajeet Manghat finds out what went wrong, why, and who's to blame.
After a delay of 3 months, the United Spirits board finally signed off on the company's FY14 balance sheet last week. The numbers are finally public and they tell an ugly story of rampant and opaque intra-group financing, diversion of funds, and maybe also the failure of the company's internal audit functions.
USL has made 3 sets of provisions in the FY14 balance sheet. The first has to do with White & McKay,
a UK-based company acquired by USL in 2007 and sold in 2014 on directions of competition authorities. USL says the net proceeds from the sale of White & McKay will be insufficient to fully repay the intra-USL group loans taken to purchase the company. The reduction in White & McKay's value and subsequent diminution of investment value in 2 of its arms prompted an exceptional provision of 4,321 crore rupees.
If this kind of provisioning is required, more than 4,000 crore is the diminution in the value of the subsidiaries' investments for that particular matter. It can't happen overnight. And to me, it must have continued for the years together.
As far as the valuation of the investment goes, probably because of the poor economic conditions and overvaluation of the brand itself, it could have resulted in a loss. That loss is more, in my opinion, not with any devious intentions, but could be because of valuation methodologies and hope on the future.
The second set of provisions is for doubtful debts, advances and loans. These doubtful debts throw up 2 important issues: whether the provisioning is adequate, but more importantly, whether these doubtful debts are also connected to diversion of funds.
USL has provisioned 1,123 crore rupees towards doubtful debts. This includes 649 crores for prior periods as assessed by the company. But it's not clear what the total amount of doubtful debts are and whether this is a full or partial provisioning.
What is surprising to me is that if they say that out of an X amount, only 10% or 12% or 13% or 15% is only to be provided, whether it is based upon certain criteria, or is it that in the other cases the litigation is not there, that I don't find. I personally feel that in all those cases which have been given, the litigation has been there, but only a certain percentage thereof has been provided for. To me, it may not be possible to say whether it is adequate or not adequate, but I personally feel that the auditors would have gone deeper into the matter and must have satisfied themselves with regard to the provisioning.
Not just the amounts, but the circumstances that led to the creation of these doubtful debts are equally shocking. The USL management reveals that over 600 crore rupees of advances and loans provided to some entities are now being disputed by those entities. These were advances by USL to tie up manufacturing units. The advances were meant for enhancing capacity, obtaining exclusivity and lease deposits. But the tie-up manufacturing units now claim that they borrowed this money but in turn advanced these amounts to certain UB Group entities and will only be able to pay once they recover their money from the UB Group entities. The USL management says the claims made in relation to the advances to the parties may indicate that all or some amounts may have been improperly advanced by the company to such parties, for in turn being advanced to the alleged UB Group entities. The board has now authorized a detailed inquiry into this diversion of funds, and the auditor has played the safe waiting game.
At least from the accounting notes that have come, it's very clear that these monies have been diverted. But also, you can't wait for 1.5 years and still say that I am unable to express an opinion. 3, very interesting to note who have been the auditors of those group companies. If it is the same auditor, you can't say that I didn't even know about it. But very important is these kind of payments that have been made for enhancing the production capabilities, all that could have easily been verified with reference to a board resolution and whether any money has actually been spent on this.
The third set of provisioning relates to USL's unsecured loans, and the question that needs to be answered is if the extent of provisioning is adequate.
Over and above the advances that have been partially provided for, USL has clubbed 1,337 crores of receivables from Vijay Mallya-owned UB Holding and classified them as unsecured loans. The new management at USL believes it will be able to recover the loans from Mallya's company, and hence it has provisioned for only 330 crores towards principal outstanding. It has also stopped recognition of interest income of 96 crores as a matter of prudence. The management says it hopes to eventually recover the entire 1,422 crore rupees.
These kind of transactions are seen rarely, and I have not seen anywhere else, very frankly, that you consolidate all kind of whatever receivables were there from UB, you consolidate them into one and you say that you have to recover this particular X amount, but then there is a moratorium period for 6 years and total repayment period is 8 years. I'm baffled.
I don't think it's very rare, and exactly when the world financial crisis came in, that is what the banks had done in terms of mortgage loans, and they did exactly the same kind of things, probably under different heads and under different manner. But I think something which the management should have completely desisted from doing, and the auditors should have said this is an unacceptable behavior from management.
The three sets of provisioning, repayment of loans, doubtful debts and unsecured loans, and the factors surrounding them give rise to one question: the role of USL's auditors.
The current auditors have qualified the financial statement of earlier years, and consequently, the opening balances may have been incorrectly stated, thereby questioning the work of previous auditors who were responsible for the balance sheet up to March 31st, 2013. USL's board has also recommended that specialists relook at the accounts.
It's not as though that overnight these items do become bad or you suddenly unearth it. Did you have leads and you didn't pursue them? Could be one of the questions that they will have to ask. The second is, the auditing standards very clearly establish you can't just depend on confirmation. You are supposed to be doing additional work to ensure that this confirmation is only one of the methods by which you satisfy yourself. In my opinion, they will also come under scrutiny, and naturally.
Till last year, the reports are totally unmodified. There was absolutely no qualification. There was absolutely no disclaimer on any of the points. These are absolutely clean reports with regard to the various issues. So I think if at all we have to talk about, it is audit up to 31st March 2013 before we talk of the audit for the year 13-14.
Several undisclosed intragroup transactions, possible diversion of funds, questionable auditing. Will all this add up to criminal action against the previous board and management of USL?
As far as criminality is concerned, it is established that these are accounting entries, and what is stated in the notes on accounts and in the auditor's qualification are reasonably proved out. Obviously, they will very clearly come under the present definition of fraud under the Companies Act, and the old Companies Act having been repealed, new Companies Act will call this as a fraud, and all criminal provisions will, it's a fact, to apply for all this.
If it can be proved that it was in the knowledge of the management that these things were happening, I think the boards which is supposed to act in the fiduciary capacity, the board which is supposed to act diligently, the board which is supposed to really act in the interest of the various stakeholders, probably they may not have it done in these cases.
These are just some of the problems revealed by USL's FY14 balance sheet. They clearly raise enough red flags for regulators like SEBI and ICAI to look into the accounting practices at the company. Similar scrutiny of other Mallya companies might also be prudent. In Mumbai, with Payaswini, Upadhyay, Sajeet, Manghat.
The USL saga. Well, more than the write-offs, it's the intra-group transactions that are seriously offensive or disturbing in this matter. This is exactly why the New Companies Act should not dilute its related party transaction provisions and ensure that such intra-group transactions are disclosed and are approved by shareholders. On that note, we're going to take a quick break on the phone. When we come back, who is an officer? Has SEBI expanded the definition to include all of us?